hearing any feedback, so this is a good sign. So, a little late, but this is what happens when you start new things, and just having the grace and being patient with it is part of the process. So, I'd like to welcome you again to our new format of the Mom Retreat live on YouTube. This morning, we're going to have Dr. Greer Kirschenbaum joining us, and she is the founder of Nurture Neuroscience Parenting. You might have heard of her. She recently wrote a really amazing book on infant nurturing and the neuroscience behind it. She joined us for our summit last year, Mastering the Art of Parenting Your Highly Sensitive Child. Really amazing woman. So with our full and new moons, with the new moons, we always have a guest speaker joining us at about the halfway point, so 9:30 Pacific. We do a little Q&A. You're welcome to subscribe so that you can post your questions, comments, and we will have a really nice interactive session. I'm also always open to questions and comments. So with the new moon, basically what we're experiencing is alignment between the sun and the moon. So what we're trying to do at this point in the cycle is to create greater alignment in our lives. So with this new moon in Taurus, which is governed by Venus, we're really working with our senses, with the aspect of love. So self-love, love for others. Then we also have Uranus and Jupiter at play, which are really about rapid change, but fortuitous change. So this is a really powerful time to be in our bodies, so we can really experience the full sensory experience of being human, and to create a vision or a future or life for ourselves that feels more aligned with where we want to go. So I invite you, I always start with a little breath work and meditation, and then we do an activity that is connected to the theme of the moon, the full moon or the new moon. So if you'd like to get in a comfortable seat, you're welcome to be laying down, whichever feels right for you. I invite you to close your eyes if this feels comfortable. Taking some nice deep inhales. Breathing into the belly, exhale, sigh it out. And doing this a few times at your own pace. Maybe they're deep, loud sighs. Really letting go of the day, the week, the month, and any energies you might have picked up from other people, places, or things. Just letting this energy go up to the ether. And while you allow the breath to flow through your body, just noticing the parts of your body that are connected to the surface below you. Noticing the sensation of the surface. Is it hard or soft? Warm or cool? Allowing the breath to continue to flow. We're going to begin by bringing our awareness to the root chakra. So the root chakra extends from the base of the spine all the way down the legs to the feet, connecting us to our physical world, our sense of safety, and watching our root chakra begin to glow brighter and brighter. Cleansing and clearing any energy from our root chakra, allowing it to glow brighter and brighter. Bring your awareness to your sacral chakra, which sits a little below your belly button, connected to our creative center. For women, this is our uterus, where we give life, connected to our values, cleansing and clearing any energy no longer serving us, allowing your sacral chakra to glow brighter and brighter. Bring your awareness to your solar plexus, which sits a little above your belly button. This is your center of will, of strength. Cleansing, clearing any energy no longer serving as it begins to glow brighter and brighter and brighter. All of your lower chakras from the root, sacral, all the way up to the solar plexus are glowing brightly connected. And this energy, bring our awareness to our heart chakra, the center of love, our emotions. Some say the seat of the soul, our innate wisdom. Exhaling, letting go of any energy no longer serving. Allowing your heart chakra to glow brighter and brighter. Bring your awareness to your throat chakra, the base of your neck. Taking a nice deep inhale all the way down to your sacral chakra. Sigh it out. Clearing this pathway, cleansing, clearing any energy no longer serving, allowing your throat chakra to glow brighter and brighter. Bring your awareness to your third eye. Between your brow, your center of intuition, cleansing and clearing any energy no longer serving, clearing out any cobwebs so you can connect with your intuition with greater ease. This is really important for parenting, connecting through the heart, the throat, and the third eye. This is where a lot of our power comes from. Our intuitive power, our wisdom as mothers, as parents. And bring your awareness to your crown chakra at the top of your head. Cleansing, clearing any energy from your crown chakra, allowing you to connect to the greater wisdom of the universe. And as you notice the breath flowing through your body, as you stay connected with your body, allowing your own intuitive wisdom to begin to flow through you. Perhaps you feel your energy has a sense of lightness flowing down through your crown chakra to the third eye. down to the heart, past the throat, to the solar plexus, the sacral chakra, to the root, all the way down to your feet. And it continues to flow up, keeping this channel open, flowing freely. Perhaps you visualize this as a beautiful light flowing up and down your spine. I'd like to quickly read a card that I pulled today that's very connected to this new moon. It's called the Mother Rose. You're welcome to keep your eyes closed if they are. Just flowing with the breath and just listening to the words. The Mother Rose is a sacred symbol of the feminine. The rose has been here much longer than us. In ancient times, garlands of the roses were placed around statues of mother goddesses in worship of her. She connects and unites all of us. If we trace her roots far enough, maybe we'll find our way back to each other. We're living in a time of great division, learning, and unlearning. We're together mending the thread of humanity. This is a card of returning to union by facing what's being broken, separated, and severed. To realize that we're all human, and while harm has been done, what's needed now is for us to acknowledge what's happened and endeavor to find a way to return to each other. To realize that it's possible for two people to have a different experience at the same time, and that both can be true. Mother Rose longs for humanity to drop our defenses and reach out to each other with deep honesty and compassion, to face and untangle the sadness, anger, and hurt from our hearts with the help of her grace, to dig our roots deep until we find common ground. So this is from Rebecca Campbell's Rose cards. I thought this was really appropriate, just given the new moon is all about love and abundance and connection, and a really beautiful card to start off this new edition of our mom retreats, because this is what this space is really all about. We all have different viewpoints, but coming together to honor and respect each other and really nourish ourselves as, excuse me, froggy, as parents, as mothers, so that we can then honor what our child's experience is, to build in that connection so that we can help them to grow and thrive. So it really is about honoring each of our experiences as unique as they are and finding the common ground so that we can grow together. So, due to the technical difficulties we experienced earlier, we're going to continue with this meditation rather than a written activity today. And staying in this space completely connected with your body, with your own energy and light, I'd like you to think about all the things you're grateful for, all the abundance in your life. Maybe it's in the form of health, in the form of love, happiness, financial abundance. All of these are forms of energy. Thinking about all of the abundance in your life in its various forms. We spend so much of our time thinking about the lack, what we don't have, what we need more of. But taking the time to focus on what we're grateful for is really powerful. Maybe you notice a change in the sensation of your body as you focus on these beautiful elements that you're so grateful for. Maybe it's the laughter of your children in your home, Maybe it's the love around you, your good health, the opportunity to be able to do different things, and to continue growing in alignment with our true self. I invite you to think about one way you want to continue growing in abundance. So, what is one thing that you would like to call into your life? Maybe if you're going through a health challenge, maybe it's greater health. Perhaps you would like more time to connect with your partner, with someone else you love, maybe even with yourself, giving yourself more time to really love and nurture yourself. Maybe it's the energy of abundance in whatever form speaks to you. I'd like you to really think about what this looks like, bringing this form of abundance into your life. Where will you be experiencing this new form? What does it look like? Are there people around you? Is there nature around you? What do you hear? Maybe you hear laughter. Maybe you hear the silence of the ocean, the breeze, the birds. What do you feel on your skin? Noticing the temperature of this experience that you wish to embody and embrace more of. Noticing how your feet feel. What are they making contact with? And noticing the sensation within. How is inviting this new experience of abundance into your life making you feel? It's a sense of ease, of grace, greater flow, peace, and joy, and just staying with it. I invite you to come back to this meditation, this experience, and linger here a little longer. Maybe doing this every morning for yourself. And by really creating it, not just cognitively, but as a sensation within your body, we open ourselves to embrace it in our physical reality. This is a very, very powerful practice. It's simple, but very powerful. And so I welcome you to begin to bring awareness to your feet, to your body, maybe placing a hand on your heart and taking a nice deep inhale and exhale. If your eyes are closed, you're welcome to open them. Maybe not staring at the screen, but finding something else still to gaze at in the room. Trying to keep this energy that you created within your body, within your experience today, to help you to align with this very powerful new moon. We're going to wait a moment for Dr. Greer to join us. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. This is a practice that I do every morning to help clear my energy and to set the tone for the day. I have found it to be very, very powerful. It turns out it's something that is practiced by many, which we know. Um, but it's also a practice that Dr. Dispenza actually shares in his book Supernatural, which I was reading. Um, it's interesting because in that book, he actually shares a lot of yogic practices with the science behind it. So if you're interested in exploring more about the power of creating, um, I'd recommend that book. It's really interesting. I also offer a number of courses on it and I help my clients with it. Um, so the new moon, like I was mentioning, is really about connecting to and creating greater alignment for ourselves because the moon and the sun are in alignment. Um, so we take this time to really think about where we want to be moving to, what direction we want to be going, what we want to be creating in the next month, and connecting to that energy to bring it into our reality. Um, it's a really beautiful time to nourish yourself because we do need to nourish ourselves so that we're able to have that space to connect to our greater purpose. Um, and another reason that I work with the new moon and the full moon is because sleep is affected. So, from my craniosacral background, our circadian rhythm is really impacted by the moon. I don't know if you notice this yourself, or maybe you notice it with your children, but sometimes sleep is more disrupted, or some people have a much deeper, longer sleep at the full or the new moon. Some children wake up more frequently. So I thought it was a really nice time to choose to allow ourselves as moms to have a little reset because we need it, but also because likely our sleep has been maybe a little wonky in the shadow the few days before and or after the full or new moon. So I really like to work with the natural elements. I think in our world today, one, we're disconnected from them, and two, we don't give it enough credit. Um, but they're influencing us all the time. And for our highly sensitive and neurodiverse children and or ourselves, um, we're feeling it. We just don't necessarily acknowledge it. So again, going back to the really simple systems that exist within and around us can be quite powerful and just honoring them. So, the seasons, right? We look at allergies that come out and how that affects our immune system, our nervous system, our mood, right? Think about summer versus even the rainy season here in Vancouver. It rains a lot in the spring and in the fall. Um, but those can really, really impact our way of um, our sense of being and our well-being. Um, just checking again because I had to change the link because there's a lot of feedback with the first one. If Dr. Greer is here yet. So bear with. I think we're having some technical issues because I needed to change the link. Um, so for now, if you would like to let me know if you have any questions about the meditation that we did a very gentle breath work. Here we go. Welcome.
Hi,
Thank you for joining us. We had
thanks
some
for having me.
technical issues earlier. There's a lot of feedback, so I had to change the link at the last minute. So,
Got it.
yeah. Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm just trying to balance my phone here so it's not on the side.
A little wonky?
But there we go. That's the best I can do, I think. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. We
Good.
had a really nice little new moon meditation. Um,
Amazing.
yeah, and some breath work. So let's talk about your book.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me get one over here. Today is my publication day of the paperback.
Oh,
So I
really?
have paper.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank
That's
you.
awesome. Very
Yeah,
exciting.
really
So was it
excited.
just in hardback before or hardcover?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, hardcover and digital and audio.
Good for you.
Hmm.
I don't know if you want to, I think most people know you already, either from the summit or from your own work, but if you'd like to
Great.
give a little introduction as to your work, that would be awesome.
Sure. So great to be here. My name is Greer. I'm a neuroscientist, doula, sleep family and sleep consultant, mother, author. Sounds like a lot of things, but they all kind of go together. My work helps families and professionals strengthen the connections between babies and parents, which go on to form lifelong mental health for babies, can change mental health for parents. And my hope is to really make a big difference in mental health of the future by supporting that relationship between parents and babies. So
Yeah.
that's the goal of all of the many things that I do.
Well, and it's so important. I know in my pre and postnatal training, like I share my own experiences. I think I've talked to you about this before, but with my second, she didn't sleep. She like literally did not sleep for a
Mhm.
year. And so I had a very humbling postpartum depression, which is what inspired me to finally do my master's in counseling, which
Amazing.
I'm almost done. But again, speaking to your point, like those early years really do set the tone for the nervous system of the child and how they perceive and interact with the world around them. And it's not to say, like, if you've had a rough experience, that there can't be repair, right? I mean, I think it's a very challenging time for many families.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's so important.
yeah, it is, and it's I think one of the biggest reasons why it's so challenging is we're left alone at a time where we need people more than ever. We're
Yeah.
more left alone,
Yeah,
and it's a
absolutely.
big problem.
And
Mhm.
very much in our society today, right? Like live in, we have all the expectations, I think, of being in a supportive family and culture, but we're actually alone.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So, what are some of the myths that you would like to share with us
Yeah,
and
I took out the
debunk?
book. I took out the book so we can go through some of the big myths. Let's start with the first one, which is infants don't remember anything, so experience in infancy doesn't really matter. We hear this a lot. Like, don't worry about it. If it's hard, anything's challenging, don't worry about it. Just, it doesn't matter. Babies don't remember. Right. And so that gives people a lot of license to mistreat babies, to ignore them, suppress their emotions and feelings, gaslight them, not give them the same rights as every other person on earth just because of their age. And I get it in the context of like how, like we said, how little support we have. And also these like influences that
Mhm,
have shaped our culture around babies, which I call a low nurture culture,
mhm,
where we really not just don't promote connection and support and high care for babies, but we
mhm,
celebrate giving them the least possible care we can. Where it's like you're only doing a good job if you leave your baby alone, if you let them scream and cry by themselves, if you have power dynamics between you and punish them, and all of these things. That's the only way it's good, right? And if you do less than that, you're actually a bad parent. Like that's the low nurture culture that we're in. And
mhm,
my work, these myths are not just saying no, that's not true, but the opposite is true.
mm,
That when we are high nurturing and we celebrate responding to babies, connecting with babies, and supporting them in the early years, that is truly what is going to bring us all the things we wish for our babies. So the experience in infancy really does matter. The reality I write in the book is the infant brain has a huge capacity for memory. They're stored in the brain as what we call implicit memory, which makes up the emotional brain, the unconscious mind, and the foundation for lifelong mental and physical health. So not again, this myth is not just not true. Like beyond the opposite is true. Infants remember everything. So experience in infancy is critical for shaping their brain, their and mental and physical health for life. Really.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely. And when I work with adults in my craniosacral and somatic work, like very often we're going back to those early years because it is, like you're saying, all stored in the implicit memory and in the body.
Mhm.
And we're tapping into those unconscious layers to help release patterns that are playing out throughout the rest of our life. So it's huge. And
It is.
unfortunately, like you said, I think it plays into so much of our mental health and the way we choose to live. But it's
Yeah,
hard because you can't recall it.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's different type of memory than we're used to. We only think about our biographical memory. And babies don't, beyond infancy, we lose access to,
Mhm,
to those autobiographical memories. But yeah, so I knew that you worked with adults, and I was going to say everyone who does, all the therapists and healers and, different modalities that people can engage in for healing, like they all know they're working with this time of life.
mhm,
Um, and so I'm not saying we're going to put everybody out of work because, nothing will be perfect. But if we can encourage more people to be more nurturing in these early years, there'll be so much more health
yeah,
as we grow. And maybe even like all those hours and resources, for most of us, like maintaining our mental health can be almost as daunting as like a part-time job on the side, right?
yeah,
To take care
yeah,
of it. I felt like that way at times,
yeah,
and times where I've had to really lean into it and give myself care. I'm like, oh man, it's so much.
mhm,
But maybe we could spend that effort and that time and resources on like growing. We're still growing, of course, in those
mhm,
healing. But if we don't have to get over our infancy, we could, be doing so many other incredible things,
completely,
to expand our potential. Yeah.
completely, and yeah, I think it's I guess, first of all, would you like to clarify the infancy stage?
Yeah, of
Okay,
course. I think there's a
sure.
huge that's another myth. That should be a myth in itself. Um, but through a neuroscience lens, infancy is conception to age 3. So throughout pregnancy and up to the 3rd birthday is when the brain is in an infant state. It's extremely immature. It's extremely susceptible to be shaped by experience, and especially in the circuits of the brain that relate to our stress system, which is sort of like an umbrella system that
Mhm.
governs all of our systems of mental health and physical health.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I think it's really important that you highlight the conception to age 3 because it really is such a pivotal period, um, and particularly when some children may not have access to language. Even if they do have access to language, um, there's some barriers, right, for most, in terms of putting the experience into context, right? They don't have the same. So, for example, I guess where I'm going with this is if a parent is stressed, a child doesn't know that they're stressed about something happened at work. All they're experiencing is, oh my gosh, something is critically wrong with my parent. What can I do?
Mhm.
Or how do I protect myself? And so if it's, and of course we all experience stress, right? I mean, it's like, but if it becomes a chronic pattern, that's what shapes the child's experience.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And we can also be really open with our children about our emotional experience so they know it's not
Yes.
fault. The other option is I think it's their fault,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I caused my parent to be this way, and probably I have to fix it,
Mhm.
um, because we crave to have be regulated and supported and protected
Yeah.
by our parents and caregivers, and not for them to be scary or scared, of us or other other things. So we can be open and just say, "Oh, I'm having such a rough," even with infancy, even between 0 and 3, having such a rough day. Lots of things are at work are really stressing me out. And then model for them how we're going to regulate it.
Yeah.
I'm going to stretch. I'm going to go outside and take some fresh air. I'm going to breathe. Whatever you do.
Yeah.
Um, so I recommend definitely parents figure that out, how to regulate yourself, how to be. It's a huge field of learning. How to be self-aware, how to regulate yourself, and then how to model it
Yeah.
for children. And yeah.
And it's huge. I mean, it's really beautiful if you can even bring your children with you and be like, I'm going to go for a walk in nature because I'm feeling stressed, and the trees help me calm down. They help regulate me. Um, and they're learning, right? Like you said, that they're learning so much so quickly.
Mhm.
Planting those little seeds is so empowering.
Yeah, and
And
telling them, I'm having a big feeling, and I
yeah,
know how to take care of myself,
yes,
and I'm
you
gonna
don't
take
need to
care
take
of
care of
it.
me.
And it's not, and even if it's something they did that made you
Yes,
have that feeling, just say, "I'm having this feeling. You didn't cause it. It's my feeling, and I'm gonna take care of myself, and come with me, and I'll show you how I'm gonna do it."
yeah,
Right? Yeah.
yeah. And even like with my girls, I'd say sometimes, like I need a breather. I'm going to go lay down in the room, do some breath. I'll be back in a bit. But
Hmm.
it's okay also to take the time for yourself. And my eldest, I guess she was about 2 at the time, she started being like, I'm going to go lay down. And she got out her bolsters and stuff.
That's so
And she's like,
sweet.
I'm going to go breathe. But it's more that they learn this. Like if they see you modeling it, they pick up on it so quickly. So it's
Mhm.
never too early, like you were saying, to talk to infants about what's going on for you, because
Yeah.
they're just absorbing
Yeah.
all of it.
They're watching everything.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, that's one of the most important tips for people who have bring newborns home is once you feel yourself getting really activated and stressed, put the baby in a
Mhm.
safe place and go take a few minutes for yourself, right? And that continues on, um, beyond, right? Because when we're reactive, we, are out of control. We can get
Mhm.
out of control.
Mhm. Mhm. Do you want to go
Yeah.
through one of your other myths?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do the other big one that I like
Okay.
to talk about a lot, which is self-soothing
Mm.
myth. Um, the myth is that babies can and need to learn to self-soothe, which means going from a state of high stress to a state of safety on their own. This is something that's really expected of babies. And the reality is that babies cannot self-soothe because they don't have the brain parts to do so until way beyond infancy.
It's
So,
30, right? That
well,
fully
they
developed?
begin fully developed about between 25 and 30 years old. Yeah. Yeah. That's when the brain finishes development. But we definitely, start to gain those skills beginning after infancy, certainly like by about the first grade,
Mhm.
which is about age 6 or 7. Um, I think a lot of kids can do a rudimentary amount of self regulation. That's sort of when they can do the things that they would do in a typical school. Stand
Mhm.
in line, make a line, wait in line, sit at a desk for a little bit of time, right? All of those kind of behaviors require some self-regulation and some self
Mhm.
monitoring. But with the emotional part, uh, it never goes away. Like we can be really emotional and cry on our own and, do loving things for ourselves to take care of ourselves. But the real way we're going to regulate is in the presence of a loved one and to be seen and heard and supported by another person. So it actually never goes away. Like, it is actually a very unhealthy stress coping response to when you have a problem, go lock yourself away in a room.
Mhm.
It's much healthier to have the feeling and call a friend, call a family member, go see someone and connect, right?
Mhm.
To support
Mhm.
ourselves. So I wouldn't want anyone to think that there's an age where they have to start isolating themselves when they're feeling stressed. To know we are like an interdependent species, that's part of our
Mhm.
humanity to rely on each other for that. Um, but yes, we can, you know, um, do some degree, right, of self-regulation. We can do self-hugs, we can do breath work, we can, but maybe go see a practitioner or
Mhm.
several practitioners. I do things like within our control that can regulate ourselves, but
Mhm.
we do it in a social way as humans. It's very,
Totally.
yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I with my work, this is why I work with families, because it's beautiful to be able to just show the child and the parent how to work together. And like it's just, yeah, it's really incredible. And unfortunately, like you've pointed out, so many of us were raised to think that we had to do it alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's so much of the healing that we have to um discover, right?
Yeah.
Often as adults, like how can I show myself that people are safe, that people will help me and support me
Yeah.
and drop those like protection, those protective mechanisms that we've often adapted. Yeah.
Yeah. And even like if we look at the craniosacral system, like it's designed to co-regulate. It's not designed to do it in isolation. Like
Mhm.
the craniosacral system is our eyes, our ears, our sense of taste, scent, etc. is kind of part of it.
Mhm.
But all of that is to sense our safety in our environment, right? And then that information goes to the vagus nerve to our organs. So it's telling our body how are we going to respond to the environment around us. And it's always on. So even just knowing that, like, we are designed to co-regulate, not do it on our own. I think that's really important for parents to know,
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
moms who feel isolated or parents who feel isolated, like you said.
Yeah, and the low nurture culture really gets deep into our beliefs and to what we know. And so even when people understand, "Oh, I'm going to be really nurturing and responsive in 0 to 3, that myth is still so deep that it's like, all right, well then when do I take it away?
Mm,
When do I stop?
mhm,
And sort of just knowing like certainly your role diminishes
mhm.
significantly over the years, but it's not going away. And I don't think you want it to.
Yeah,
I don't think you want your children not to be coming to you with problems and concerns, right? We want that,
yeah,
most of us. We want
totally.
to be a place of safety for them. Yeah.
Totally. And sort of on that note, I think it's important to highlight like how we sort of frame our relationship in those early years will influence the teen, tween, and those more difficult years. Like if we can't be that safe space um, for ourselves and for our children in those early years, why would they come to us with bigger challenges in their later years?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
So if we can create that safety now, we just build on that, right?
Yeah.
I
Completely.
know I want them to be able to come to me with
Mhm.
difficult things later.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that in nurturing families that I know and work with. Their teens are really still connected to them. They're not going through
Yeah.
um they're going through like adolescence, but they're not
Yeah.
going through a total just like rift in the relationship.
Yeah, and I think, like, for any parents of teens, like, it is normal for there to be a bit of a, um, that independence or that desire for, autonomy. I mean, we see that in the younger years as well, right? There are different
Mhm.
ages where we go through that, but there's still that deep connection. So
Yeah.
it's a balance, right? It's it's
Mhm.
a dance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is
Yeah.
there one more myth you'd like to share or anything else you'd like
Sure.
to.
We could do a quick sleep one.
Sure.
Because I think people are interested in sleep as well.
Yes, we like sleep.
Um, yeah, maybe sleep training, just to like, go for it.
Go for
Sleep
it.
training is the answer to your night waking concerns. So anytime parents are like, my baby wakes at night, the answer in low nurture culture is use sleep training. Um, so the reality is, if you're concerned about your baby's night waking, we can investigate underlying medical issues if it's extremely frequent,
Mhm,
but and also sleep optimization, which I talk about in my book as well in my practice. Um, after all that's said and done, waking up in the night is a completely normal feature of infant sleep. Our low nurture culture expects babies to sleep like adults and uses sleep training to make that happen. But if you measure their brain waves and look at their actual sleep physiology and science, infant sleep is completely unique to adult sleep. And it does include having periods of really light sleep, searching for safety around, like searching for a parent who's close, keeping them safe to maintain their own safety.
mhm,
Um, and sometimes having feed, sometimes needing something and going back to sleep. It's completely normal and you can do it. Low nurture culture will also say you can't do that.
mhm.
Like your mental health will suffer, you can't work, you can't do this. It is not true. You can. And and like 90% of the world does it. And it's totally possible. You just have to unlearn a lot, learn new things, and figure out how it's going to work, for your family. So it's totally possible.
Thank you for sharing that, and sort of on that note, with my daughter's sleep, I mean, my second, she had digestive issues, but I needed to call in my husband to support me while I went away because I was going through such a bad depression.
Yep.
Um, so it's, again, we rely on the support systems and the network, right?
Yes,
Which
absolutely.
can be hard, and I think it can be hard for.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
I
It
think
takes
you're
a lot
froze
of
for a
people.
moment.
Oh, there.
A- Anyways, so we have a minute left. Not that we're going to be cut off, but thank you very much for being here, and thank you for sharing some of the myths with us.
Thank you.
Um, where can people either get your book or learn more about you and perhaps work with you?
Yeah, my book is available everywhere books are sold,
Yay!
and which is great. If your local bookstore doesn't have it, ask them to order it.
What's the name? Maybe you want to show us quickly?
Sure. It's called The Nurture Revolution. Um, and I'm on Instagram at Nurture Neuroscience Parenting, and my website is nurture-neuroscience.com. I have all my offerings there.
Awesome. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you. So nice to see you.
Yeah. Have a good afternoon.
Thanks, you too.
All right. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.